Well, guys, Universal officially came out and said that Five Nights at Freddy's will be having a presence at Halloween Horror Nights this year in both Orlando and Hollywood. Five Nights at Freddy's is one of the most popular video game series in the 21st century and has lent itself to a film adaptation with a sequel on the way this December. Five Nights at Freddy's has been a dream IP for HHN for many people, including myself. HHN is no stranger to featuring some of the world's biggest IPs, such as The Last of Us, Stranger Things, and Beetlejuice. Many people, including myself, have dreamed of having Five Nights at Freddy's be featured in this iconic list of IPs that have been featured at the event. And last night, it happened. Universal officially announced that Five Nights at Freddy's would have a presence at Halloween Horror Nights this year in both Orlando and Hollywood, with them only saying that more details would be coming soon. So today, I want to explore exactly what Universal could do with this IP and what they could maybe mean by experiencing Five Nights at Freddy's in a whole new way. So let's get this party started. With Universal's announcement of Five Nights at Freddy's having a presence at Halloween Horror Nights this year, many people, including myself, have assumed that they mean that Five Nights at Freddy's will be getting a house. And honestly, that is the most likely scenario. Having a Five Nights at Freddy's themed house would be absolutely amazing. In my opinion, Halloween Horror Nights is the single best Halloween event in the world. They do a phenomenal job with the set design, costume design, lighting design, sound design, and of course, the incredible scares brought by the incredible scare actors. These are truly some of the most immersive haunted house experiences on the planet. I 100% fully believe that a Five Nights at Freddy's themed house would be phenomenal. But now, I want to talk about what we can actually expect to find in a Five Nights at Freddy's themed HHN house. One of the biggest unknowns about this property being featured at the event is if it's going to be based off of the game or the movie. My first thought was that a potential Five Nights at Freddy's house could be themed to the game franchise, especially given the success of 2023's The Last of Us house. This house was based off of the game instead of the HBO show. However, I think that this could be based off of the movie instead of the game, and here's why. As I mentioned previously in the video, the sequel to the Five Nights at Freddy's movie will be releasing on December 5th, 2025, which is right after the HHN season will conclude for this year. Now, this could allow for a lot of cross-promotion between the event and the movie, similar to how The Exorcist Believer released in theaters around the same time as HHN in 2023, and it also had a house that year. Universal has a really good working relationship with Blumhouse in regards to Halloween Horror Nights, and usually we always see at least one Blumhouse representation every year for Halloween Horror Nights. And if you don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's is a Blumhouse movie, meaning that Five Nights at Freddy's could very well be this year's Blumhouse representation. In addition, Blumhouse was one of the 4 accounts that posted the Five Nights at Freddy's Halloween Horror Nights announcement video, which means that they could most likely be involved in Five Nights at Freddy's appearance in the event in some way, shape, or form. In my opinion, I think that means that it will be based off of the movie. But going back to the actual franchise itself, I think that this is going to be one of the most interesting and exciting executions of an IP that we've seen before in Halloween Horror Nights. The reason why is because these are huge characters that can be executed in so many different ways. The 3 possible options for what they could be portrayed by would be animated figures, puppetry, or costumed performers. My personal guess would be that they would be portrayed by costumed performers, because they would be able to have a very wide range of movement while maintaining the scale of the characters. But I could see a character like Cupcake being brought to life through the utilization of puppetry due to the character's small size and wide range of motion. I do feel like that Universal would use a wide variety of scares if this announcement is in fact a house to really make this franchise come to life. Maybe we'll even get Dancing Golden Freddy. And if Universal does in fact make a Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house for this year's event, my guess is that it would be located in one of the sound stages for the Orlando location, because these allow for the biggest sets inside and they have a lot of exterior queue space. These queues can get really long, and I've tend to notice that a lot of the more popular properties get put in sound stages. So I would bet that Five Nights at Freddy's ends up going into one of the sound stages by the front of the park. Another utilization of Five Nights at Freddy's that is on my personal wish list for the event would be through the return of Scare Actor Dining. Scare Actor Dining was exactly what it sounds like. You would book a reservation for a restaurant and scare actors would come around to your table. Think of it like a character breakfast at Disney, but with scare actors instead of Mickey Mouse. I want you to imagine with me for a second that what if we could get the return of Scare Actor Dining and they could make Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in real life. You could book a reservation for this for the event and you would sit down in the restaurant that could have like arcade machines and you could have the characters come out and come to your table and you could snap some pictures with characters like Foxy, Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica. That would be so cool, and I think Universal would make a lot of money with that. I think that everybody would want to do that. I personally feel like that it's almost a given that we'll get some Five Nights at Freddy's themed food booths for the event. Food booths are really common at Halloween Horror Nights, and they always like to theme them to some of the IPs featured at the event. And with Five Nights at Freddy's taking place in a restaurant, I think that it's safe to say there will be some Five Nights at Freddy's themed food booths. Something that I would personally really like is if Universal has an official meet and greet with some of the characters from the franchise. Maybe they could have a rotating set of characters, so maybe you could just have the iconic four, Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy, on a rotating set so you could always get to meet one of the four main characters. I really feel like that with the inclusion of Five Nights at Freddy's, we are potentially looking at the most popular Halloween Horror Nights event to date. HHN 34 is going to be huge this year, and our first announcement is probably going to be one of the biggest of the entire year. There is no doubt in my mind that this is going to be the most popular experience at this year's event, and is sure to bring in a lot of new guests to experience Halloween Horror Nights that have never gone before. I think it's going to be a really fun way to introduce a whole new crowd to the event, and I think it's going to make so many memories for so many people in the future. But with that, let me know if you're excited for Five Nights at Freddy's coming to Halloween Horror Nights in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you liked it and want to see more just like this. I'll see you all real soon. Thank you all so much for watching.